guys, it's a hot, humid, and really sunny day here at the beginning of June, and we're in a bit of a drought, and we've gotten a little bit of water, but not very much. So I'm sprinkling the yard. Such is life when you have young boys who want to play soccer and everything else. If I didn't water it some, then the grass would be completely gone when they're out here playing. However, what I want to talk to you about today is the Parkway. It's the area of grass on the far side of the sidewalk there. I don't know, if looking at it, just seems like it's an awful waste of space. It's something that I'm challenged to try to water or fertilize it, and the grass, no matter what we do, just seems to always be in a state of just kind of barely being used, and or barely being alive and green. And on top of it, it just seems like an awful waste of space. And so I'm contemplating putting in a bed or two in there, and just had some thoughts and love to hear your feedback, and I'll also videotape and show you kind of like how I proceed in most likely putting in a bed or two in the Parkway. And I guess first off, I've been thinking about some stuff and love to hear you chime in if you think you have some other ideas, but I mean, the number one thing is how much it gets cooked by the sun. It gets sun all day long. Number two is a lot of people walk their dogs down here every day. We live in a real younger residential neighborhood with a lot of people owning dogs and kids going by. So a consideration I have is what to do in terms of the dogs for giving them a target to go to the bathroom. Viewing for cars. If I back up here, I'm kind of standing in the street right now. I don't want to have a tall hedge that comes all the way down to the sign and then no one can see any cars coming around the corner. That would be dangerous. Frankly, I don't know if that would be against city code or not. So I'm thinking about putting the bed on the half closest to the white fence up there. That way leaving this half over here so that people can see cars coming around the corner. And fourth is in the winter we do get quite a bit of snow. And so the plows come by and they are coming by at 20 miles an hour shooting snow. Most of it landing pretty hard against anything in the Parkway there. So any plants that would remain throughout the winter would either need to be supported for a couple years until they had strong enough trunks to withstand the snowplow, or they need to be something that dies back to the ground every single year. So with doing this, something with the Parkway that I have read about that I think would be great is when removing the sod is instead of building a berm structure that's kind of concave from the sidewalk over to the street filled with mulch or compost, is to actually go the route of building something slightly convex. And the idea being is when rain runs off the sidewalk or when it lands inside the bed, that it's between the street and the sidewalk, that it's channeled into the bed, giving the plants water, versus kind of creating a dome that encourages the water to run off. So the idea being is that this obviously is a hot area. This is an area where you don't get, it's just a challenge to keep it moist. And one of the solutions is to try to gather like stuff coming off the sidewalk slightly slopes from left to right, is to kind of capture that along with any water that lands in the bed to keep it there so that it almost it becomes a basin capturing the water. That's in contrast to what I built here. Is coming down from the play set, water comes off the house and it comes down this direction occasionally, and I'll try to point here on the camera. This area right here is the lowest part. That will actually, the berm acts as a kind of dam that if we get a lot of water in a couple consecutive days, it will actually form a little bit of a pool there of water, which is great because it slowly seeps in and waters this entire berm and gets moist because the water slowly trickles down through it. The idea being is if we had a ton of water that came down, that anything that came through the berm, either through just osmosis coming in one side and leaking out the other, or hitting the sidewalk here, would actually drop down in, and I'm thinking I can capture most of the water there and create a garden. Second thing is, in talking about the actual plants I'd put the garden, I think I really want to concentrate on putting in a lot of native plants. Herbs like thyme and oregano that are, you know, they need to be super hardy and they need to be from this area. I think I'll have some flowers in there as well, but I'd like to make it productive where I'm actually generating some either herbs or vegetables that we can use. So stuff that can withstand some harsh elements, while at the same time kind of being conditioned for this area. I think will be the best ones to stand up to the elements during the summer. So that's the first video on this. I'll videotape kind of the progress or the plans if I go ahead and do this. And if you have any thoughts or comments, I would love to hear it. And I'll talk to you later.